The Zephyrian detention facility on Kepler 442b was designed to break any sentient being. Its crystalline walls hummed with psionic dampeners, its gravity fluctuated between crushing and weightless, and its temperature cycled from Arctic cold to desert heat every 6 hours. The facility had processed over 10,000 prisoners from across the galaxy, and none had ever escaped. None had even tried after the first week. But the Zephyrians had never imprisoned a human before. Marcus Chen hung suspended in the center of his cell, energy shackles binding his wrists and ankles to points in midair. The alien captors had learned quickly that humans were remarkably adaptable to artificial gravity, so they'd removed that comfort entirely. For 3 months he had floated there, enduring their psychological warfare while they tried to extract Earth's defensive coordinates from his mind. Subject shows remarkable resistance, Senior Interrogator Vexhai observed, her 4 eyes studying the readouts on her quantum tablet. Neural pathways remain intact despite prolonged exposure to memory fragmenters. Her assistant, a younger Zephyrian named Kolthek, flicked his antenna nervously. Perhaps we should increase the intensity. The council grows impatient. Vexhai's mandibles clicked in what passed for a laugh among her species. This human's mind is unusual. Where other species show fractures within days, his consciousness seems to adapt, even strengthen. It's almost as if pain is teaching him something. They weren't wrong. Marcus had spent his first month in agony, his second in acceptance, and his third in careful observation. While the Zephyrians focused on breaking his mind, he studied their patterns, their technology, their blind spots. The psionic dampeners that prevented him from accessing Earth's defensive telepathic networks also interfered with the Zephyrians' own mental communications. The energy shackles that held him were powered by the same quantum cores that maintained the facility's systems. And most importantly, the temperature fluctuations followed a precise mathematical sequence that suggested automated control. During the scorching heat phases, Marcus had learned to regulate his breathing and heart rate, techniques borrowed from meditation practices his grandmother had taught him. During the freezing cold, he exercised isometrically, maintaining muscle tone, despite his bonds. The gravity shifts had taught him to think in 3 dimensions, his mind mapping the facility's layout from sounds that echoed through the walls. But it was the psychological torture that had truly forged him into something new. "Tell me about your homeworld's defenses," Vexhai demanded during their daily interrogation session, her voice transmitted directly into his skull through neural interface. "Share this information and your suffering ends." Marcus opened his eyes, meeting her alien gaze with steady determination. "You know what I've learned in here?" he said, his voice hoarse but unbroken. "I've learned that you're afraid." Vexhai's antenna twitched, a tell Marcus had noted weeks ago. "Afraid? We conquered 17 star systems. We reduced the Makari Empire to ash. You're afraid of what humans represent," Marcus continued, managing a smile despite his cracked lips. "You've built this entire facility around breaking minds, but you've never encountered a species that gets stronger from adversity. That's why you can't just invade Earth directly. That's why you need our defensive codes. Deep down, you know that in a fair fight, we'd find a way to win." The interrogation ended abruptly, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts and the steady hum of the facility's systems. But something had changed in Vexhai's demeanor, something that gave Marcus hope. That night, during the cold phase, Marcus made his move. The energy shackles required constant calibration to maintain their grip on his limbs. 3 months of micro-movements during temperature shifts had gradually loosened their quantum lock on his wrists. It took 6 hours of careful manipulation, timing his efforts with the facility's power fluctuations, but finally his right hand slipped free. The alarm that should have triggered was delayed by exactly 12 seconds, a gap in the system's response time that Marcus had calculated from months of observation. It was enough. Marcus disabled his remaining bonds and dropped to the cell floor just as emergency lights bathed the corridor in crimson. His legs nearly buckled after months of suspension, but human stubbornness kept him upright. The cell door's lock was quantum encrypted, but its hinges were simple mechanical constructs. 3 sharp kicks at precise stress points, and the door fell inward. What Marcus found beyond his cell changed everything. The facility housed not just alien prisoners, but hundreds of sentient beings from dozens of species, all kept in similar states of psychological torture. And according to the data he accessed from a guard station, they were all being broken for the same purpose: to extract defensive information about their homeworlds. The Zephyrians weren't just targeting Earth. They were systematically conquering the galaxy, one broken mind at a time. "This ends now," Marcus whispered, his fingers dancing across alien control interfaces with surprising intuition. The facility's security systems had one fatal flaw. They were designed to keep prisoners in, not intruders out. Marcus turned their own psychological warfare against them, flooding the guard quarters with the same disorienting sensory attacks they'd used on him. While the Zephyrians writhed in confusion, he systematically unlocked every cell. The liberation that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Zephyrians had made one crucial miscalculation. They'd assumed that breaking individual minds would create broken peoples. Instead, they'd forged a coalition of survivors who understood exactly what they were fighting against. Species that had warred for centuries stood together, united by their shared suffering and their human-inspired refusal to surrender. Marcus led the charge through the facility's corridors, alien allies at his side, their combined knowledge dismantling security systems and overwhelming guard positions. The Zephyrians' own weapons turned against them as the liberated prisoners demonstrated that broken chains could be reforged into something stronger. When the rescue ships arrived, a mixed fleet of vessels from a dozen worlds, they found the Gao facility under new management. Marcus stood in the command center, coordinates flowing across holographic displays as he transmitted defensive information not to the Zephyrians, but to every world they'd targeted. Senior Interrogator Vexhai knelt in detention, her own energy shackles humming with power. "You wanted to know about human nature," Marcus said, meeting her 4 eyes without flinching. "Here's what you missed. We don't just survive adversity. We learn from it. We grow from it. And most importantly, we ensure others never have to endure it alone." As the Allied fleet prepared for departure, Marcus took one last look at the facility that had tried to break him. Its walls still hummed with psionic dampeners, its gravity still fluctuated, its temperature still cycled between extremes. But now it served a different purpose entirely. Now it was a training ground, preparing the galaxy's defenders for the war that was coming. The Zephyrians had tried to break the human prisoner. Instead, they'd forged the weapon that would break their empire's chains forever. The revolution had begun, and it spoke with a distinctly human voice, defiant, determined, and absolutely unbreakable.